Okay, welcome back to members of 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas, in our ongoing study in the essays in a book entitled New Studies in Hegel, published by Holt, Rinehart, and Winston, 1971. We're going to take a look at an essay by K.R. Dove on the phenomenological method, pages 34 to 57. And it's a very good essay. I like looking at Hegel's method because it's more complicated than what it has been simplified to mean over the years. Everybody talks about thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, and that is not Hegel's method. It is not. It's incorrect. And Dove realizes that. He presents the true methodology here. So we're going to look at this in 3 moments. Let's go to block 1 and take a look at Hegel's Trinitarian methodology. First, you have the determinate phase. It is descriptive concerning sense certainty. We begin with sense certainty, but our object does contain within itself the self-movement of the concept. And we must give way to this self-movement of the concept. It's kind of a paradox to refrain from applying our own standard to the process. Subject and object remain distinct. And then we move into the second phase. And by the way, this agrees with the summary chart that we've already done in the Phenomenology playlist. Those first 2 summaries, Dove does agree with the summary I presented there. The second phase is that of perception, noesis, the doctrine of noesis. We reach the level of concept and understanding. Consciousness becomes prioritized. The concept creates what we would call the existential moment. We find ourselves as persons implicated in the self-movement of the concept. The determinate is negated and the universal or the concept is affirmed. It's the process of sublation. Determinate surface reality is negated and the inner universal conceptual reality is affirmed. Phenomena, surface reality, gives way to the noumena, the essential inner reality. Then we reach the third phase, and that is self-consciousness, the realm of positing, and the return for the self. Concept is subjectively known, and it objectively exists. This is Hegel's phenomenology itself, all taking place within the realm of positing. And like I said, for Hegel, that is the realm of spirit. So we have a unity of subjectivity and objectivity when we reach the third phase of self-consciousness. Because what do? We form a subjective sign model, a subjective worldview, and then we posit that worldview as a filter at the edge of objectivity, and that filter is the filter through which we interpret culture. It's the filter through which we interpret our history, and it is a divine Trinitarian ontology. Let's go on to block 2. We'll take a look at the phase of spiritual perception. Right, block 2, note 1, perception. Mental entities are the real. As Hegel says, the real is the rational, and the rational is the real. This is absolute idealism. It is a self-revealing process revealed in language. So we have the concept, the eidos, ideas, revealed in language. From 2 perspectives, both individualistic, the I of the self, and the communal, the we of the self. The nature of subjectivity becomes prioritized. There you go, idealism. We transition from individualistic consciousness to communal understanding, to a communal level of understanding. And so then we reach block 2, note 3, understanding man as spirit. We are spirit. We live in the realm of spirit. We posit spiritual world views. We live in a realm of positing. We are to be understood. Humanity is to be understood as spirit. Truth is both theoretical and practical. We transition through the stages of spirit, spiritual art, religion, and philosophical standpoint. Determinate surface experience is the temporal, inner, universal concept, is the genuine real. We articulate the inner felt reality. This is idealism. This process is for Hegel'S, it is for Hegel considered a revelatory act. That which appears as concept is recognized and recollected as that which has evolved from dialogue within community. That's the we that plays a role here. The realm of positing is filled with dialogue within community, gathering in fellowship, gathering in life group to exchange spiritual ideas, to exchange communication concerning the spiritual dimension of life. And I love this statement, we develop a new attitude toward objectivity because we affirm a posited internal externality. The internal and the external are two sides of the same hinge, the hinge of positing. We form our Trinitarian ontological worldview subjectively in the inner self, and Ross gave us a very good example of that with his sign model worldview, which is Trinitarian. But then we posit that at the forefront of our mind, at the edge of objectivity, as a filter. So we have two sides of the same hinge. Hegel calls that a hinge moment. Subjectivity and objectivity are two sides of a positing event. Now to close out, and it's a good little essay, but we close out with block 3, the I of the self becomes the we of recognition. Hegel says that self-consciousness is always reciprocal self-consciousness. Okay, self-consciousness is always reciprocal self-consciousness. All right, let's take a look at block 3 here. The we of recognition. The term we is used repeatedly in the Phenomenology of Spirit. It is a prerequisite for genuine understanding, for genuine comprehension. The self is in dialogue with other self-conscious selves. We're looking at self-consciousness in dialogue with other self-conscious selves. The self recognizes the we as a prerequisite for the self-positing necessity of the concept of spirit. It's all about that self-movement of spirit, the self-movement of the concept of spirit. Our own self-consciousness is, of necessity, dependent on interaction with other self-conscious selves. We're talking about reciprocal recognition. We get involved in dialogue with others. Well, let's use our church as an example. You attend a life group, a smaller group of people that gather to discuss deep spiritual truth. You exchange ideas, you share your take on the true, other members of the life group respond to that, and then you can internalize in return moments those additional offerings from other members in the life group. So life group is really a fellowship that practices Hegel's reciprocal recognition. The process of reciprocal recognition, it does constitute the very concept of spirit. The love of knowledge, which is dunamis potential of spirit, transitions to actualized knowledge as the energia, actualization of spirit. Remember, the realm of spirit is always moving from dunamis to energia, potential to actual, all the time. We climb the ladder of the philosophical standpoint. Self-consciousness is dialectical in its very nature. The ego goes out of itself for another. In dialogue itself, we discover our own consciousness as spirit reveals itself to us. We live in this realm of positing, and within this realm of positing, Hegel says we experience revelatory transcendence. For Hegel, revelatory transcendence is real, and it's discovered through spiritual perception, a new way of thinking, a renewal of the mind way of thinking, a renewal of the mind way of what Hegel calls sublation. Renewal of the mind for Hegel is equal to his concept of sublation, where we practice and learn to practice and to live in a way where we negate surface reality as the real and recognize and affirm the spiritual realm behind surface reality as the genuine real, as a movement of spirit, that is, a self-movement of spirit disclosing itself in revelatory moments where dunamis potential transitions to energia actual, and it transitions to energia actual through our participation in the realm of spirit, through our participation in the realm of positing. Now, what I love about this essay from Dove is it's a confirmation of the summary lesson I already have posted in the Phenomenology summary playlist. Those first two lessons, I summarized the entire Phenomenology, and Dove came up with the exact same thing. He goes from sense, go to block 1, sense certainty to noesis to understanding and then to self-consciousness. That is exactly what our summary chart looks like if you go back to that summary chart. So I love the fact that what I find here is a confirmation, a reinforced confirmation that the summary chart we've already posted in a previous playlist is valid, it is sound. And so what this essay is for me, it is, to use his words, it is reciprocal recognition. I recognize the true in Dove's essay, and if he saw my summary chart on the playlist, he would, in a reciprocal way, recognize the true in what I had posited. So for me, this is a reciprocal recognition, a reciprocal confirmation of a comprehensive summary of Hegel's genuine Trinitarian method. And it is sense certainty transitioning to the doctrine of noesis, spiritual perception and spiritual understanding, and then transitioning to genuine self-consciousness as reciprocal self-consciousness, as reciprocal recognition. Actually, it's a very good little lesson. I like this essay. It's only just not too bad, 34 to 57. Fairly short essay, but well done, because that is the true, genuine methodology for Hegel's writing. It is a Trinitarian methodology that climbs the ladder toward the philosophical standpoint. And the philosophical standpoint for Hegel is living in the realm of spirit, participating in the realm of positing, and practicing reciprocal recognition in smaller fellowship groups. Our church calls those life groups. Hegel would be a firm supporter of the necessity of life groups. For Hegel, that would be mandatory. You don't just go to church. You enlist in and participate in a life group where you can exchange ideas, where you can talk through spiritual truth, where you can firmly and through genuine dialogue and genuine investigation search out deeper spiritual meaning, deeper spiritual truth. So Hegel would absolutely make the fellowship of life group mandatory. For Hegel, that would be mandatory, an absolute Christian necessity. That's going to wrap up this essay on the phenomenological method. That's a big word, isn't it? The phenomenological method. Pages 34 to 57 on Hegel's Trinitarian methodology in his famous Phenomenology of Spirit.